guys. Here we are, MMA UK News Stoomboy, as always. So, going to be talking about Cage Warriors 171. So, Cage Warriors returning to Glasgow after a number of years away. So, it's going to be heading over to the Braehead Arena. That's Saturday, the 20th of April. So, next Saturday. Now, ticket availability, if anybody does need tickets, as I said, I don't think there's any left, to be honest, but double check with the fighters. They do have links on their socials. You can only get them directly through the links. Obviously, the fight's going to be on, or all the fights are going to be on UFC Fight Pass. So obviously, keep an eye out for that. Now, there's going to be some awesome fights. We got some of the best fighters coming out of Scotland at the moment. So we got the old school and the new school coming through. So going to be awesome. I mean, they're going to be taking on obviously some of the great fighters from all over the place, all over the UK and further afield. So you definitely do not want to miss Cage Warriors 171 next Saturday. Now, my guest tonight then is one of them, obviously the man himself in the middle there, James Doolan. So James runs probably the best fight team coming out of Scotland, not just Scotland, but the UK, possibly throughout Europe as well. I mean, I'd say he's got fighters at the top level that have been at the top level for a number of years. And obviously the fighters that he's got coming through, just your early pros, amateurs as well. He's said some awesome, phenomenal fighters coming through that fight camp over at higher level. And then obviously on my right, we got Sean Clancy Jr. Sean's been fucking running amok since turning pro last year. As I said, 29th of April, I believe, Sean. You turned pro last year. Yeah, 29th. Because I think, was it you were 29th of April, I believe. And
I think that rings a bell.
And Stephen was he did his amateur debut. So
nice one.
but I think it was the same month, I believe. So
I think you're right. I think you're right.
So, but yeah, I'd say you've been on an absolute tear. But I mean, this has been expected for you. This is what we expected to see. As soon as you turned pro, you were just going to run riot.
Aye, pretty much. Just need to fucking keep doing that. I suppose I've got another 4 fights under the contract, so I'm going to try and just do exactly what I've done to the last guy to every single one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's been phenomenal to see. I mean, as I said, and again, we listen to Brad Wharton when he does a commentary and he talks about the physique and he talks about the power and everything about you. Do you know what I mean? So, but we've been seeing it for years. I mean, we've been seeing it coming up through the amateur ranks. And you just, every fight, you seem to get better and better. And we talked a lot about kind of confidence coming out for fights. I mean, you walk out for fights and you seem like the most confident person in that building.
It's not even, yeah, I'm confident. I'm definitely confident. It's not something I'm particularly conscious of how confident I am or nothing like that. It's just, I'm about to get into a fight. That's all I can really think of. It's more of a tunnel vision thing, I think, rather than like trying to exude confidence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. We're just looking there. So it was the 29th of April. Budo Fighting Championships.
That's what it was.
In Disson, as I said, up against but 29th of April last year. So do you know what I mean? Coming up on a year as a pro. Do you know what I mean?
That's right,
and it's been a great year. It's been a really, really great year for you so far. As I said. What's the thing as well? I mean, obviously you're talking about going between the two weights, welterweight and middleweight. Is that still on the cards for yourself?
Aye, let's see why not. I'm like, as far as my frame goes and stuff like that, I'm a big fella, do you know what I mean? Probably stick to welterweight now, seeing as it's so easy to make. If it was a wee bit harder to make, then yeah, it would be something that I would be a bit more inclined to do. But as of now, it's super, super easy to make. So I'll probably just stick to welterweight and just ruin the boys for a wee bit longer.
We love it. James, obviously, let's come to you. I mean, as I said, obviously, you've got a few of the guys on the card, Cage Warriors next weekend. So it's always brilliant seeing higher level, seeing your guys out there. Because, again, we talked about the confidence of Sean. I mean, every one of your fighters is like that, when they walk out there and they're so confident when they walk out because of, I mean, the training that you guys put in is absolutely phenomenal.
They need to be, they're going to be confident just as a testament to the hard work that they've done. And the good thing with the system at higher level is Sean's been, and the boys have been running about it long enough that they've seen guys having success with that system. Like they've seen Stevie Ray, Cage Warriors champion, having his run in the UFC, fighting for the PFL world title and stuff. They've seen Danny Henry, they've seen Joanne Calderwood, they've seen like these guys coming through and winning on the biggest platform. So it's easy to be confident when you're just replicating or adding to what the guys have done before you.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the videos. I mean, obviously, you guys post videos of training all the time, and the videos are great. I mean, everybody's working hard, working really, really hard. And sometimes you see even though they're sparring in the gym, I mean, they're going at it like it was a normal fight, like it was an actual fight. It looks that way anyway.
Sometimes it's a lot more controlled, generally, and we're lucky that our guys are paired up really well in terms of experience and physicality and stuff like there's a very good group of feather and lightweights training together, and then we've got the welterweights and the middleweights and stuff like that. So the guys with the experience and the time put in, they can obviously come up through the gears a wee bit and push each other a wee bit more. So there is you've seen the mat at higher level, the sparring there on the Friday night and the Sunday can sometimes be better than some of the fight shows you're going to, just because of the level of the boys on the mat there.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a very, very good level. And we talk about, do you know what I mean, anybody that's, do you know what I mean, wants to train. I mean, a higher level is a place to train at. I mean, anywhere in Scotland, I mean, higher level is definitely the gym. If you want to be a champion, you want to be up there to train with the best people around, then definitely go to a higher level, James.
Or go somewhere else and see how you get on there first.
But we just obviously, I just want to bring in Miles Painter as well. Obviously, MMA, one of the writers at MMA, does all the across the pond profiles on the fighters, so they're always great to read. So obviously, he's going to be kind of in the background, just going over some of his predictions and stuff for Cage Warriors. So, but Cage Warriors Glasgow, James, it's been a while. It's been a while since obviously they've been up here.
It has. I think I was actually on the last one. That's how long ago it was. Or was I? I can't remember. The last two times they came up, I fought on one of them, and I had 8 fighters on the other one, so it's one or the other. But it's been needed. It's been, I think, since On Top kind of fell away for what it was back in the day when it was an all-pro show. Cage Warriors coming here has been a massive boost. It's a massive year for MMA in Scotland this year. We've obviously got PFL coming to the Hydro later this year as well. So between Cage Warriors at Braehead and PFL, it's a big year.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, got shows like BMF. I mean, obviously, you're wearing the T-shirt there, but BMF coming up as well. Paisley, May the 4th.
Yeah. In terms of the amateur show, it's probably the best amateur show in the UK now as well.
Very well done,
Yeah. And we're going to see, obviously, your brother, Sean Stephen, obviously on May the 4th. So it's going to be a big couple of weeks for the Clancys.
I know, it'll be good. I'm actually raging because I'm not even going to be there for that one. I'm going to be in Brazil with Paul. So it'll be weird because I'm very, very rarely known at Stephen's fights. But so a wee bit gutted I'm missing that one, but it is what it is. He'll forgive me, I'm sure.
Listen, he's going to have, what does that arena hold? What, 800,000 people? Do you know what I mean? He's going to... Paisley Lagoon. Is it 1,500?
I thought you said 800,000 there. I was like,
no, 800 to 1,000. 800 to 1,000. So, but yeah, 1,500 people. He's going to have 1,500 people screaming his name right behind him as well.
He told me as well that he's got all a young team for a bit of all the kids for like school and stuff like that. He's went to his old school. And he's got the teachers to like hand out flyers and stuff like that. And a bunch of the kids from his old school are coming and that and all. He's getting buses and that sorted.
Mate, that's awesome. I mean, Stephen's brought obviously a lot of eyes. Yeah, he's brought a lot of eyes to certainly the amateur game coming up through the amateur ranks and stuff like that.
The way he promotes himself is quite good. Stuff.
Big following. So, Cage Warriors then. Cage Warriors 171. Braehead Arena as well. Obviously, again, going to be packed. It's going to be packed, James, full of, do you know what I mean? Just people want to be there to support every fighter that's on the card.
There's a power of folk. I've ended up selling a power of tickets and that as well, which we will need to get sorted at some point, Cage Warriors. But I've got hundreds and hundreds of people coming, which is really, really, really cool, to be honest. As far as people keep asking me if it really affects me, but I've never really noticed the amount of people being there affecting me or that, as far as how nervous I get. So it'll be interesting to see if this puts a wee dent in me or nothing or anything like that. But I don't really think it will. Normally I can't even see the crowd. It's normally just kind of me and him in the cage. So it'll be a new experience, because this is the most people I've had there for me. So it'll be quite cool.
Yeah. That'll give you that wee bit of edge, though. That'll give you a bit of edge having.
If I was being honest, I'm saying all that, but normally I actually, and I've said this to Hannah, and it's like, I never upset her, but like she was like, "The fuck are you talking about?" That's quite rude. But like normally, it doesn't make a difference. Like I actually don't think about the crowd or the people that are there for me at all. It's fantastic when I celebrate with them and stuff like that, but as far as how in my head they are, they're not really in it at all. It's a weird kind of mental that me myself, I don't know about anybody else, but it's a weird mental kind of space I get into whenever I'm about to fight. I don't really think about anybody, if you know what I mean. I can't really hear anybody shouting, like cheering for me or nothing like that. It's a fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. James, you've been out there in front of a load of people screaming your name. Do you know what I mean? What kind of advice? I mean, you give Sean advice all the time, but for a fighter walking out in front of loads of people, James, what would be going through your head at the time?
I actually fought at Braehead a couple of times. It's a good venue, good setup and stuff. Just to enjoy it. John has kind of programmed a wee bit different, where he's kind of laser focused on the task at hand. So he'll probably not enjoy it till after it, but as soon as the fight's done and his hands get raised and stuff like that, then that's when it'll kind of kick into play for him, I think. Depending on how the fight goes, I don't know if he's going to hear the crowd during the fight and stuff like that, but all the Scottish fighters need to relish the chance, because they're not going to get the chance to fight at Braehead Arena too often. It's an arena that's historically, like Ricky Burns used to fight there. I think Josh Taylor's fought there and stuff like that. It's been used for big boxing nights before. And it's if there's 5,000 or 6,000 people there, it's different for a lot of these Scottish guys have came up on shows and town halls with 400 people, and even some of the Cage Warriors have been on, and some of them have been fighting in the COVID ones with no crowds, and then the Cage Warriors haven't been in an arena like Braehead for a while. I think the one in Newcastle held 3,000 and stuff, so I don't know what the numbers are like for Braehead, but I think it's going to be their biggest selling show ticket wise in a long time. And Scottish fighters just need to get and enjoy every part of it, because it isn't something that comes about that often, and as somebody who's 10 years removed, I'm about 10 years I think since my last fight. It's something you take for granted at a time and think you'll have more of the nights, but they're very limited.
Yeah. Nah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great seeing all these guys walking out. And then we obviously looked at the card. I mean, start at the bottom, obviously, I believe the first guy that's coming out is going to be Thomas Hepburn. So obviously we talked about old school fighters. I mean, Thomas has been around the game for, I think what we were talking, I think it's about 8, 9, 10, probably more than that, 10, 11 years. So, so he's going to be up against Cornelius. Is it Aratonang? Now, my pronunciation is absolutely horrible. So, but Thomas Hepburn coming back out, James.
Aye, it's a weird one. There's a lot of guys on the card who have been fairly inactive, and then obviously Cage Warriors they need local guys on the card, especially the undercard, to kind of fill it and stuff like that. So I know Thomas quite well. He's kind of good martial artist, very good jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I think you can see the fight's kind of stacked in favour of the other guy. I think he's one of the MMA Academy guys, which is obviously tied in links with Cage Warriors and Graham. So you can see what they're thinking is going to happen with the fight. But if Thomas can get that in the mat and get his jiu-jitsu going, I think he's a tricky submission guy. I don't know how he's going to be with the time off. I know he's been doing some Thai box and stuff like that. I don't know how he's going to be on the night where it's a different show for where he's fought before. I think it was his last fight in Forza or something like that, Julian. It's a different fucking game with ATV cameras, and you're walking down that ramp and there's that ring light hanging in your face, and it's a different experience for some of the guys. And sometimes when you jump that gap for kind of the local regional Scottish shows to, like, there is bigger shows obviously in England and stuff like that where you're maybe going to get 2,000 people there, but I think going for that to 6,000 people at Braehead, it's either going to bring the best out of them or it could cause problems. I'm hoping he gets his jiu-jitsu working and he gets to show what he's capable of. Because he's a nice kid, man. He's a nice kid.
Yeah. Do you know much about Thomas Hepburn, Sean?
He fought my mate years ago, Eddie Cook. He subbed Eddie, so I know his jiu-jitsu is nice and stuff. I think I might have spoke to him once or twice. I've not any like long conversations. I don't know him too well or nothing like that, but I do know him obviously, like, for being in the scene for a wee while.
Yeah,
I know his jiu-jitsu is nice and stuff like that. So, and obviously he's Scottish, so hopefully he wins.
Last time I seen him, I think he was out at ADCC Scotland. He did over in Stirling, a Golden Lion Hotel. So he fought Arujo. I don't know if you know much about Arujo, but obviously fought Arujo. Arujo, I think, submitted him with an armbar. But then Arujo's a completely different level. But then this is MMA. As I said, MMA is very, very different from submission grappling, as we all know. So, and then obviously the next one on the card, then obviously one of your boys, Ian Postlethwaite, James, Ian Postlethwaite up against Pav Sahota. So Ian obviously made the jump over to you guys recently and had an amazing 2023. And I remember talking to him after his fight at TKC in Ayr. And he said he pushed that down to obviously the changeover at too high a level. I said Ian was always a good fighter, but since going to higher level, and that's the thing, I always say this. I mean, people that are good fighters go to higher level, and you make them great fighters, James. So yeah, Ian Postlethwaite.
It's a good fight, that. I think if you judge it on the records, it looks like Ian's a kind of massive underdog, but look at the year Ian had last year was excellent. I know we're talking about 3 wins and stuff, but he fought 3 really good guys last year. He beat them and he stopped them. I think something's just clicked with him. I think it's definitely he's been teaching himself. A lot of guys know Ian's story. He was a massive prospect as an amateur, and unfortunately his coach, he was super tight with, a guy called Rob McCrum, passed away very young. Rob was like a pal of yours, mine as well. Similar age. I think our kids, our oldest sons, were similar age, and obviously he's passed away pretty tragically with cancer before he even hit 40, and it kind of left Ian and a bunch of the kids in limbo a wee bit. So Ian's obviously started his own gym, still been fighting, but just kind of try to guide that ship himself, which is it's a very, very hard thing to do. And then the last year, obviously, he's been through ours. He's in a really good mat there with guys at his weight. With Luke Shanks, a former flyweight champion. Got Keir Harvey, who's back at bantamweight. Stevens there, obviously, and we have at bantamweight, I think we have maybe six or 7 guys there. So training partners hasn't been a problem for him. He's now focusing more on training and stuff like that. So
yeah,
he's got a hard fight with Pav. He's a tricky kind of prospect and stuff like that. But it's definitely one that Ian can win. Ian's in a good place now with confidence coming off the 3 wins. I think it'll be quite similar to the Haywood fight that Liam had, where that Ian had, where Pav's quite long and rangy and stuff like that. The kid that beat him at Cage Warriors, Sam Kelly, had trained up at ours a bunch of times, come up for sparring and stuff like that. again, we got a lot of work in with Stephen actually preparing for that fight. So Ian is a late change of opponent as well. I think Ian was meant to have a guy for the MMA Academy, and that got changed to Pav. So it's fair on both the guys. They've both not had massive amount of time to train for each other, but Ian's confident after that last year and stuff like that. And again, I think he's at a stage in his career now where fighting at Braehead in front of 6,000 people on Fight Pass it's the biggest night he's in my career so far. It's probably something when he had a negative record or was losing fights that he should have been winning, he probably thought would never happen. And now he's worked his way back into that position, and it's all kind of aligned for him. So I think he'll get there and he'll give a very good account of himself. Pav's dangerous. He's for a good gym at Manchester top team and stuff, but Ian's going to push him. He's going to get. Ian's hard to put away. He's a tough wee guy, and he's going to relish the opportunity on Saturday.
Yeah, we saw that at TKC, obviously, when he beat the boy Shane. I'm trying to remember the boy's second name, but the guy turns out Great Britain top team, obviously down there with Brad Pickett and all that. And the guy was winning. The guy was winning, but then I said, Ian's one of these guys that, I mean, you can beat the shit out of him, and he'll still be in front of you. He'll still be standing there, and as he'd end up taking the guy down and submitting him, which was exactly what he said he was going to do before the fight when I was talking to him. So, and as I said, after the fight, he put it down to the time that he spent over at higher level. And then, as we know, he's obviously he's closed the gym down. He's now focusing full time on himself, which is definitely a great move for him.
Yeah, you need to do it. If you have to be selfish, unfortunately, if you want to fight at that level. And I'm sure it'll pay off for him. You know what I mean? That's a sacrifice, and sometimes it comes down to who's sacrificing the most in these fights, and he's definitely sacrificed a lot with closing the gym and then the travelling and stuff like that. I know that isn't easy things for him to do, because he's generally not a selfish person. He's like, to the detriment of his own career. Back in the day, he was running his gym and stuff like that. But I'm sure he'll get what he deserves on Saturday night.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? Ian, your boy Ian Postlethwaite.
Aye, too right. He's winning.
Yeah. So
Ian's cool. I've seen him and Stephen get a lot of rounds in. So I'm rooting for Ian. I think he's definitely a lot better than he's shown previously. Again, obviously last year he had a bit of a good run, but I've always thought, as far as technically, he's pretty sound everywhere. So I think I basically just whatever I would say would probably just be copying James, to be honest. So Ian, I think Ian's going to win.
Definitely. No, well, that's what Miles Painter just saying. Ian by heel hook round 3. I definitely think Ian will submit the guy. Yeah, I definitely think Ian will submit the guy. Heel hook, I don't know about heel hook, but I can see if it's going to go anywhere, there's going to be a submission finish for Ian, definitely. So, money's definitely on Ian for it. And then look at the next one. I mean, Damon Donald. I know they've not got. There's nothing being announced yet for him. But to see Damon Donald on the card, Damon Donald's all about violence. Do you know what I mean? He's like the old school MMA fighter where it's just about violence, just about coming there, just standing in the middle of the cage. Same as Max Holloway last night, just in the middle of the cage and let's get it on.
He's one of my favourite guys to watch as far as like locally goes. He put on one of like the best fights I have ever seen live, and the Emmas once. When I fought at the Emmas, he was fighting at the Emmas as well. Literally, he just beat the shit out of this guy. The other guy was like coming forward and like waving him on and that as well, but literally a ridiculous fight. Yeah. I like watching Damon fight, so I hope he gets a match up.
Yeah. And hopefully he does get someone, James. Hopefully they get someone for him. A week's notice, though.
I think if anybody can match him in a week's notice, it's Ian Dean. But I'm gutted he's not on the card. To be fair, I'm the same as Sean. You don't get born fights out of Damon. He's a young prospect as well. You want to see him busy, and it'd be a shame if he doesn't get again on that platform, because I'd imagine he'll be back in Glasgow at some point, but you don't know when. But I hope he gets matched. I'm sure Ian Dean will be getting him someday.
Yeah. It's dangerous for anybody to take Damon Donald on a week's notice, though. Do you know what I mean? So, but then they'll be looking at his record and think he's only 1-0. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, go in, but then maybe not looking too much into him, just taking the fight based on his record.
Someday.
So, fingers crossed for him. So, next, obviously, on the card for Scotland, then Igor Voitas up against Ronald, is it Siahan? So, obviously, Igor, I know a lot about Igor. Obviously, Igor, massive wrestler, black belt jiu-jitsu, obviously MMA. He's been doing MMA for a long time. Do you know what I mean? A long time over in Poland before coming over to the Hit Squad and moving over here. And he's again one of these guys. You're not going to see many boring fights out of him. I mean, he had the war with Ian Postlethwaite at Evolution of Combat. I think it was Evolution of Combat 7, I believe. Maybe 6 or 7, but the two of them went at it for the full 3 rounds. And he just seems like a Duracell bunny. He just keeps going.
I actually don't know much about that guy. Was it on that Evolution of Combat?
No, that was the one they tried to get you matched up. They sent a picture of you to somebody, and the person shat himself and fucking said no chance. So I think they tried to get you matched up with like 2 or 3 different people, but nobody wanted it. Do you know what I mean? So
I think I did see that fight. I thought I seen that fight.
But it was the one that was at the Equestrian Centre when they eventually let people in. I think it was the second time they were there. So, but yeah.
I actually cornered Ian in that fight. I think I was there with Tunde and Kevin Swanky. I think I ended up jumping in the corner. I think he's got one of the MMA Academy guys. I think he's got one of the guys with like a big record, but he's not really fought a lot of guys. I think Igor's been in with some good guys. He's been with Chad Hack and stuff like that. So I think he should be smart enough to use the experience there and get a points win, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Miles Painter's saying as well. He's reckoning it's going to be a Igor unanimous decision. Do you know what I mean? So, and I do feel that. I mean, Igor's one of these guys. He'll outwork his opponent. Do you know what I mean? He'll try and outwork him. Do you know what I mean? His wrestling's awesome. Ground game's really good. He can stand and bang. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. Definitely an interesting one. Now you got Deck Dean and Michael Blair. So Michael Blair's second outing at Cage Warriors. So obviously stepping out against Deck Dean. So how do you see that one going, James?
I don't know who Deck Dean is. I think Blair's decent, man. I think he's pretty solid. He's a good size lightweight. The losses he's had at pro have been to good guys, obviously Mark Doolan. And then I think his Cage Warriors debut, he made a little technical mistake. He threw a shot. It was a wee bit slow with the recoil, his own punch, and stuck his feet, and that kid Peel hurt him and finished him. I think he'll be. I think Michael will be too much for Deck Dean. I think it's not a guy who's come through the amateur ranks that had or he's now a pro who had the amateur pedigree that Mark Ewan had, or that kid Peel that beat him as well. It's a guy who's like a bad amateur turning pro or whatever. So I think Michael Blair in Glasgow should be hard to beat. With that level of guys who should be fine. I don't know if he stops him or maybe subs him and stuff like that. I can't see it going to points. I think Michael Blair maybe round 2 or something.
Yeah. What about yourself, Sean? You know much about Michael?
I don't. Well, I know Michael. I don't know who Deck Dean is.
Deck Dean's 1 and 2 as a pro. Obviously, his 2 losses came at Cage Warriors. Fought Lorenzo as an amateur. Lost against Lorenzo as an amateur. So
it depends. I don't think Michael's really improved at all since he fought Mark Ewan. As far as like keeping his head in the same like place all the time is concerned. So if a guy kind of pays attention to that at all, then could be a similar outcome to the last outing, but I'm not too sure. If they're putting him up against a 1 and 2 guy, then it could just be trying to build up a prospect in Scotland. So I we'll go with Michael.
Yeah. So that's what obviously Miles Painter, Michael Blair, round 1 guillotine choke. And that's the thing. I mean, this time we're going to see Michael with a full camp. Obviously, his Cage Warriors debut didn't have a full camp. I think he came in on, I can't remember. I think it was a couple of weeks' notice they were saying. So at least this time he's going to get a full training camp, and he's going to get a good run at it. So yeah, we'll see how Michael does on the night. And then what we got? The big guys. Jamie McDonald against Neil Ariano. So big Jamie obviously making his Cage Warriors debut next Saturday as well, James.
It seems like a long time coming for him getting to kind of bigger shows and stuff. For what I know about I don't know much about that French guy other than he fought. There's a heavyweight prospect up north called Norbert. I can't pronounce his second name. What's with Marcus Proctor and stuff like that. And I think Norbert fought the French guy and was getting the better of him, and something's happened. I can't remember if it was an eye poke or a groin shot, but the French guy kind of shot the bed a wee bit and refused a rematch. So I think Jamie will have his way with him. I think he's a big lad, Jamie. He's confident. He's had some good wins at pro with the Robbie Kennedy one and stuff like that. I think Jamie will come out and put it on that French guy. And I think it should be a very good debut from the Cage Warriors. Just let the rest of that division know that he's there. It's quite a shallow division there, so I think he can come in and just let everybody know what's what, and maybe get a wee run, 2 or 3 fights, and that belt was sitting ready for him maybe.
Yeah. That guy is. I think this Neil guy. I believe his pro debut. So obviously, as you mentioned, obviously coming through the amateur ranks, but this is his pro debut. And I mean, going up against Jamie McDonald in your pro debut can't really. Do you know what I mean? It's a tall order. I mean, we all know what Jamie's like. Obviously in Scotland, he's very, very aggressive. But yeah, going up against him in a pro debut, it's not going to be a good night for the Neil guy.
It's kind of indicative of the heavier weight classes, but like the light, heavy, and heavy, there's not a lot of the guys about. Do you know what I mean? So there's like you're going to have. I don't know if Jamie had 5 fights or whatever. And the pro debut guy versus 5 fights is again. It maybe not happen so much at lightweight or welter or feather and stuff like that. But I think that's a good match for Jamie, just to get his feet in the door at Cage Warriors and just get started. What I'd imagine is a run towards the title.
Yeah. And then Jamie McDonald, Sean.
He actually fought on the same card as my amateur debut. I think he was either the fight after. I think he was a fight after me. Big fella, really good striking. Nice boxing and stuff. I can imagine as the further up the card you get, the more they'll probably want it in the favour of the Scottish guy. Especially if it's a debutant against somebody like him. I'll probably go for him. Jamie.
Obviously, Miles Painter just saying he reckons he's got Jamie McDonald round 2 rear naked choke.
These are so specific.
I know. See, because Miles does the across the pond stuff. So he goes right into depth about the fighters, do you know what I mean, how they win, do you know what I mean, the rounds and all that kind of stuff. So goes very, very in depth. So yeah, he's reckoning a round 2 rear naked choke. So we'll see next Saturday. We'll definitely see next Saturday. And then the next Scottish then is Jordan Strong versus Jordan Little. So obviously Jordan Strong, obviously again, in his words, obviously he's had a lot of bad things go against him, so we've not really seen much of him in regards to fights. But yeah, he's we're going to obviously make his Cage Warriors debut next Saturday as well, up against a tough Jordan Little.
I think he's going to make. I think Jordan Strong will make light work of Jordan Little. I think Coonley or Lorenzo beat Jordan Little pretty quick at the Four Nations.
It was Coonley, Coonley.
I've seen that kid a bit. He's a nice kid. He's big amateur record and stuff like that. But Jordan Strong's kind of got that thing we were talking about with Damon Donald about him, I think. And that's probably the worst type of fighter for Jordan Little to fight. Like somebody who's actually going to put it on him a wee bit. So I think Jordan Strong will stop him. I think he'll be too physical, and if he comes out aggressive, I don't think Jordan Little will be able to handle that.
Yeah. I think it was Coonley. Yeah, Coonley beat him at the was it the EMAs? I think it was the EMAs at the Four Nations. Sorry, yeah. So so Coonley beat him. What about Jordan Strong, Jordan Little then, Sean?
I actually don't know. I don't think I've seen either of them fight.
Yeah.
I can't
Jordan Strong's been around for a while, but I mean, he's had a lot of cancelled fights. He's had a few injuries and stuff like that. So there was a lot of things went against him in regards to his career and in regards to his journey and so on. So, but he seems to be fully fit now.
Big Miles says round 1 KO, so I'll go round 1 KO.
So round 1 KO, yeah. But he's had a lot of things going against him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's him all good to go. So, and then you've got, let's have a look, Paul McBain, Albert Diaz. So Paul McBain returning again, coming back. Again, he's all about violence, same as Damon Donald. I mean, that's how they train up there at Aberdeen Combat Centre, James.
Aye, there's some tough boys there. Is Albert Diaz the guy who's got a win there, Richie Smullen?
Let's have a look.
Is he the same dude?
So Diaz 6-4 as a pro. Let's have a look. Beat Stevie Amable, Richie Smullen.
These are good guys.
Yeah.
I think there's a clear path for Paul to win there. I think if he jabs, Paul's big at the weight, and he's got a great jab, and everything he does well kind of comes off the jab. I think, for what I remember, Diaz caused Richie a couple of problems on the feet, but it was like more power, and there's some really good grappling exchange in that. I think Diaz's grappling is pretty slick because Richie's a great but look, it's a hard fight, that one. I'm hoping Paul comes out and puts it on him a wee bit. I think Paul can stop him round 3. It's a hard fight for Paul after the time off, but again, we were talking about this earlier. That inactivity and sitting in the gym, and I think he's took over Aberdeen Combat Club now, so
yeah,
everyone kind of changes there a wee bit. You're more responsible for other shit and stuff, but he's definitely the guy that will raise to the occasion. And Paul's had some big fights in Cage Warriors as well. He was doing well against Hendon until he made a wee mistake. I think I ended up in his corner for that one. Paul's got a winner, Steve Amable, as well, I think. So some kind of mutual ground there. I'm going to go Paul, probably, if no points, maybe a late stoppage, like a round 3 stoppage. I think he'll wear that guy down, maybe. That's a fight. That's one of the best fights in the card, that one.
Yeah, definitely going to be a good fight. Then I spoke to Paul about it. He's buzzing to get out there, and do you know what I mean? He just put on a show. He loves the fact that it's going to be in Scotland as well. So he can't wait. He's absolutely buzzing for it. Sean, you know much about Paul McBain?
Yeah, I've seen Paul fight. I kind of agree as well on as far as the jab goes and stuff like that. I think he's got a nice jab as well. I think I've seen him kind of get called into a couple of scraps. His last fight in Cage Warriors, I'm sure he got called into a bit of a war with the guy. It doesn't really, that style doesn't really age too well. So if he does that, if he stays disciplined, then yeah, I think he calls it. I think he takes it. Maybe decision probably wears in the guy into the last wee bit. But if he gets called into something like that, then that probably wouldn't be the best idea for him.
Yeah. So there's obviously Miles Painter, round 2. So he's got it round 2, triangle choke. So we'll see. We'll see next Saturday. Of course. And then takes us on to the kind of main card then. So got Keir Harvey, James, up against Modesto. So obviously Keir Harvey stepping in as well, going to hopefully put on a show.
Aye, so Keir's back at bantamweight, which is a good thing. Had a wee runny fights there at EFC and Bellator and Cage in Finland, where he was still up at featherweight. He's just signed a 5-fight deal with Cage Warriors. He's obviously been on Cage Warriors before. He beat Manny Akpan. There's a lot changed in Keir's life. He's just had a kid. So dynamics outside the gym's totally different. He's been excellent in this camp. His weight's sitting good. I think he sees this as a chance to kind of remind people what he's all about. He's obviously not fought locally in a while. He's been in Paris. He was in whatever part of fucking Finland he was in, then 3 fights in Johannesburg. So it's his first fight back in the UK in a wee while. And I think he's looking forward to it. And Keir at bantamweight's a different prospect for the featherweight. It just suits him better stylistically and stuff. So I'm picking Keir to get a points win there, if not a late submission and stuff like that. I think until Keir's going to impose his will on that kid, or that guy. He's 36, I think. And the guy will have a wee bit of success early and stuff, but Keir will just break him down. I think eventually he'll just wear him down.
Yeah.
Find a way to get rid of him.
Nah, we love seeing Keir out there. Definitely love seeing Keir. What about you then, Sean? Keir, your boy Keir Harvey.
Yeah. My boy Keir Harvey, he's winning this too, right? He's been a wee animal in the gym recently, mate. There's definitely been a resurgence, you can tell, just as far as like, even the way he's been training and stuff like that. I'm a big believer in you need to be a wee bit hungry before a fight, and I think that's going to make a bit of a difference as well. It seems like he's got a wee bit more of a chip in his shoulder this time, so it's I'm liking the energy I'm getting of him. Do you know what I mean? This guy's coming off of like, I think last time I checked, he was like 1-3 in his last couple of fights, so he's in a bit of a downward slope with his Keir's just coming off of that mad knockout, so his confidence will be pretty high. Aye, Keir's my boy. Keir's taking this, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Like 1-3 in the last 6 years. Do you know I mean? The guys went 1-3, 1 win, 3 losses in the last 6 years. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's a resurgence for him as well. As I say, he's wanting to come in and prove a point. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, going up against Keir Harvey to try and prove a point, it's never going to end well.
Keir's looking good now, man.
Yeah. Miles just saying Keir round 1 TKO. So
round 1 TKO it is.
Yeah. So we'll see next Saturday. We'll definitely see next Saturday, and then we've got Nicholas LeBlanc, Scott Malone. So again, Scott's one of the guys, as I said, stepping out this time. It looks a different Scott Malone as well. He's had his haircut, he's shaved, all that stuff. His mindset seems to be a bit different as well. In regards to the way he was thinking when I was talking to him, James. What's your thoughts on that fight?
So this is similar to the McBain Diaz fight. I think it's a proper 50-50. So Scott was actually still training with us when he re-signed to Cage Warriors. So that's the first fight in a 5-fight deal, and it was us that me and him, obviously, and you and Sloan agreed to this fight. Since then, he's been doing his camp up in Dundee, and I think he was at Shores for a couple of weeks there, but I think he's hungry to get back out there. That's a big gap off again. This is a hard fight for Scott, but I think he knows that as well. LeBlanc's not an easy out. We beat him before with Luke Shanks, but he made Luke Shanks work. He dropped Luke Shanks in round 1, which is hard to do. And Shanks came back and beat him on points. But I think Scott's got the tools to beat this guy. They're quite similar. They're big hitting kind of judo guys. They both get crazy balance, good scramblers. I think Scott's probably got the edge in terms of submissions. LeBlanc's maybe just a wee bit fresher at this point in time. He's not as kind of worn in as Scott in terms of age and with the hard fights. But Scott's experience is good, man. It's a 50-50, this one. I'm hoping Scott can do his thing and get LeBlond in that crucifix position that he's really good at, and stop him with strikes. He'll need to make sure he's switched on at start, which he will be. And I'm in regular contact with coach, Ewan, and Ewan's like assuring me that he's super fit. Reece McEwen was telling us that he was looking good down at Shores as well. So I think he's prepared to the best of his abilities, and he'll be looking. He's a guy I think will raise to the occasion because he knows it's his last kind of run now. Do you know what I mean? He's not like 20, 21 like Shaw. Mid-30s, he's fought for the title. He's had setbacks and stuff. So I think that again, it's one of the best fights on the card. It's a 50-50, but I'm hoping Scott can get one.
Yeah, Sean, what's your thoughts?
See, with these questions, I don't think there's too much I can say about fucking James Ponter says. I'll just sound like a dafty trying to follow James. But I think that's a good fight as well, to be honest. He'll probably have that whole like blaze of glory thing about him. Like this will probably be his last. Like if I don't know if he wants to fight again after this. I know like the incentive for it to come back was the fact that we're coming to Glasgow. So I don't know. I reckon if it is his last fight, then he'll have that kind of mindset about him. This is my last fucking shot, so I may as well just give it everything I've got.
Yeah.
So I think that'll give him a wee bit of an edge compared to the other guy.
Yeah. Miles just saying he reckons LeBlanc split decision. But that's how you talk about how close the fight potentially will be, James. So
yeah, there's a couple fights on the card that are legit 50-50 fights, and you're hoping that the home crowd advantage kind of swings in favour of the Scottish.
Yeah. And then next one, then the Gianluca Scatoli against Aidan Stevens. So we meant to see Aidan at Newcastle. Unfortunately, obviously, his opponent pulled out on the day of the fight, which obviously I think he ended up in the hospital or something like that. So it was quite bad. What had happened? I think he couldn't rehydrate or something. His opponent. So yeah, it didn't go well. So he was meant to fight then, and he had an eye on the Reece McEwen and Liam Gittins fight. So because obviously he was hoping that he would go out, beat his guy, and then potentially maybe even get the winner of Reece and Liam Gittins, which obviously, unfortunately, it didn't pan out as well as he thought it was going to pan out.
This is how professional fighting works, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Good fight, I think. So I know that Italian kid, Graham Turner, actually beat the Italian kid back in the day. And then did the Italian kid beat Sam Kelly? I'm sure Sam was barring ours for that as well.
Yeah.
So Sam's a good bit smaller than Aidan, I think. Aidan seems to be in a good place now mentally. I'm going to go Aidan rear naked choke. I think the Italian kid will be pretty good for a round and a bit, and then Aidan will maybe catch him with a sub. But I think he will definitely. Aidan will need to strike with him in spells. I think if he tries to grapple straight away, the Italian kid will be a wee bit too cute for that and shut that down. Whereas Vaden tricks him into thinking he's getting a kickboxing fight and then flips the script and grapples him. Aidan's a very good back taker. I think Aidan could finish him there, or even maybe a Darce or Japanese necktie if he takes a guy down and tries to wrestle up in the underhook. But I think you'll need to see Aidan's full kind of repertoire, and that's when he's at his best, when he's shown that he's capable everywhere. It's a good fight. I think Aidan's beat better guys before, but this kid, the Italian guys are coming pretty strong now, man. The scene is flying over there. You see it every time these Italians come over for Cage Warriors or they go there. They're very well schooled. But again, this is an Italian guy that had a pro fight about 10 years ago, similar to Aidan. So I'm going to go Aidan by sub. But I wouldn't be surprised if Aidan hops him in the feet and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Sean, Aiden Stephen, the phenomenal Aiden Stevens.
I like Caden. He's a bit of a wild boy, isn't he? There's all the
Yeah.
backflips and stuff like that. If you cage like stuff on Facebook and stuff like that, he seems to be getting up to pretty wild antics. So
See, as a coach, James, I mean, let me ask you, James. Obviously, Aiden's doing a backflip off the top of the cage. That's got to be, I'd say, that's got to be nerve-wracking for a coach. Seeing your guy jumping fucking 15 feet off the top of the cage.
It's alright if it's fine, man. I don't think he's ever missed it either. I think what you're guaranteed with as well is probably the best walkout song of the night, maybe second to Sean's actually, because I know what that. He's always got good walkout songs, Aiden.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Then obviously Miles just saying he reckons Aiden Stephen round 2 arm triangle. So yeah, could be. As I said, could be. As I said, Aiden's good. His ground game's really, really good. And we see him not just in obviously MMA, but he was at ADCC Scotland, got a win there recently as well. So yeah, he puts himself out there in competitions.
He does seem to be in a good place in mentally as well. You can see it, which I think makes him more dangerous.
Yeah, he's got a new baby. Obviously his missus and all that, and they were all down at Cage Warriors. The baby was there with the headphones on and stuff like that because of the noise, and it was good to see him. But as you said, he's in a very, very good place. He's in a really good place, James, and he seems motivated. He seems a lot more motivated now than what he maybe did 3-4 years ago.
I think he's probably seen the rise of Reese coming up through the ranks. At one point, Reese would have been behind Aiden in terms of, I think, was probably still fighting amateur when Aiden was fighting pro, and that's maybe motivated him, seeing Reese go on to have his title run and stuff like that. And in that division, when the champion obviously went to the UFC and stuff like that, the division was kind of wide open there for a bit, with nobody really kind of standing out, and then Aiden's probably fancied his chances at a run at that belt, and he's obviously came back down to bantamweight, he's up at feather, but you can see when he talks about it, like he's probably 2 fights away for the title. He gets the win against this guy, then maybe one more, and he could fight for the belt next time they come to Scotland even.
Yeah. Nah, I say we're definitely looking forward to seeing Aiden next Saturday. And then next on the card then is a young guy, Sean Clancy Jr., up against Lucas Rodriguez. So, Sean, tell us your thoughts.
We'll let James go first.
I might do that Gordon Ryan thing, just write it in a bit of paper and put it in an envelope and I'll give you. So, golfing experience kind of favours the opponent. I think he's had 12 fights or something. It'll not make any difference. Sean is probably going to go into Braehead Arena at 6 o'clock on Saturday on a mission to prove he's probably the best fighter on that card out of everybody. I think that's what he's got in his mind. And I think he's also trying to put in these performances that are making the rest of the guys at his weight class aware of what he's got in a way that he wants to kind of scare them and just be like, look, if you fight me, there's a potential for it to be fucking very violent. So Sean's going to win. Again, I'll not predict how because it'll give away some of our game plan, some of the stuff we've been working. But just don't go for a cup of tea when that one's on.
Yeah. Sean's one of the guys. I mean, obviously, I'm not meant to be biased, but obviously, I've seen Sean for a while, and do you know what I mean? And he's always exciting. He's always very, very exciting. Again, do you know what I mean? When he comes out, he pushes the pace. He dictates the fight. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't fight their game; they fight his game, and that's. And I remember him being like 17, 18-year-old and just being massive, a lot bigger than his opponent. And his opponent sometimes would fucking be a lot older than them. So, and just the things that he's been able to do so far. I mean, that buggy choke, to me, the buggy choke was the first one in MMA. I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen it before. And then I remember 2 weeks later, somebody got a buggy choke and was at the UFC. and they were talking about that being the first one in MMA, and you're like, well, you never seen fucking Sean Clancy Jr. 2 weeks ago, so yeah, I'm buzzing to see Sean. I'm buzzing to see it, and the thing I'm really looking forward to seeing is it being at the Braehead Arena. Do you know what I mean? And everybody there to see Sean Clancy Jr.
It's going to erupt, man. It's really, really, really will erupt. That's when I kind of come to. You can actually see it sometimes in some of my fights, like when I start to come to, because there's like, I'm in my own wee world. Like, I'm in my own wee world, and then there's like a small period after I win where I'm still in that world, and then gradually you start to see me come out of it, and I'm probably just got to go fucking ballistic, mate. Watch for this celebration, by the way, because I've got a wee one, kind of in the back of my mind that I'm going to do a wee Prince Nassim number.
Yeah.
But
backflip off the cage.
Bye. I'm going to.
Will you be nervous, James? If he does a backflip off the cage, are you going to be nervous, James?
Mate, I'll be talking to him tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and we'll be discussing this celebration.
I think you'll like it, mate. I'll send you after this.
But there's Miles Painter, Sean Clancy Jr.
man
round
knows
one
his stuff.
TKO. So yeah, listen, I'm with Miles. I reckon it'll be over quickly. I reckon you're going to go out there and again make another statement, as you always do, So
imagine he just says the other guy. I'm like, oh, wait.
If he said the other guy would have kicked him out, man, would have kicked him out. Nah, Miles
he knows
actually,
his stuff.
he knows his stuff. I mean, he's profiled fucking every fighter through amateurs right through to the high level pros, and I'd say he knows everybody and knows what they're capable of. So yeah, he's definitely got you as a round one TKO. The co-main event then, obviously a tough one. Reese McEwen, Cameron Else. So again, Reese coming off that loss to Liam Gittins. As I said, it was a tough fight for Reese. Really, really tough. Took a lot of damage in round one, but then Hart managed to carry him through. I think he ended up winning round 4, I believe. So, but there was a lot of blood. A lot of blood came out of him, which, as a fighter, James, is that something when you see that amount of blood coming out of you? Is that something that puts you off, or does it spur you on?
I only had it a couple of times, and I was fairly indifferent to it. It's something you kind of visualise and mentally prepare for in your head, like it happening, and stuff like that. So it never affected me. I got stitched up a few times after fights and stuff like that. But I was always pretty indifferent to it. Do you know what I mean? I was so focused on the task at hand, or more kind of what I'm feeling like with rhythm and stuff like that. That the cut up. There's sometimes I'd be cutting, I wouldn't know about it. So it definitely. I know Reese came out and said it affected him.
Yeah.
So I think what you're going to find with it, this is a hard fight. I think Cameron Else in some ways is a harder fight than Gittins. He's obviously been at a good level. He was in the UFC briefly, but I think that loss is probably going to be one of the springboards for Reese. That if he's smart, he's went away. He's looked at where his game get broke down there. Gittins fought very, very smart that night.
Yeah,
he put Reese in places that Reese couldn't get his game going, and he went there first. I don't know if else can do that to him if he's watched the tape and stuff like that. But I would imagine Reese is quite a smart fighter, and he's got smart people around about him, especially at Shores. And I think they would have. What you do when you come off a loss like that is you're like, this is where we lost. This is what needs adjusted. We need to fix this. We need a fallback plan if we can't get our A game working before. And if he's spent time on that, then Else has to find a different way to beat him. And it's a good fight. This is another one of the 50-50s. Else has had a massive layoff. I think he got cut for the UFC for missing weight. I don't know if he was 0-2 in the UFC, but at one point he was like one of the top guys in the UK scene at BAM stuff. I know he's out in Vegas training Marab and Patchy Mix, and Reese has been doing training with Brett Johns and Jack Shore, so they've been running about good people. I don't know who'll be in Cameron Elsie's corner the night of the fight, if it's going to be one of the guys for Extreme Couture or whatever, but it's a good fight, that, man. I think whoever gets their game going first is going to win. There's a couple interesting dynamics with that game. For what I've heard, Cameron Elsie's front headlock game is exceptionally good. He's fast to the back as well. So Reese will need to watch what he's doing when he shoots, if he's going to wrestle early. And I would imagine if he's fixed things, for Reese it's probably going to be some adaptations to his striking, which is maybe an area could see Cameron Elsie. This is a 50-50 fight for me. And this is probably the type of fight Reese needs. Do you know what I mean? If he's got aspirations to go into the UFC, regardless of the Cage Warriors title and stuff, if he's got aspirations to go in there, then you want to beat a guy who's been in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? There's certainly things you want to tick off your checklist. I want to be the best guy at my weight in my own country. So he's been the best bantamweight in Scotland. I want to have wins in Cage Warriors. He's fought for the title there, so it just ticks another box off. Now you can say like he's fought a UFC veteran. But he needs to get and beat the guy if he wants to continue and get to the UFC. This is a good way to get the UFC's attention, because they're obviously aware of Cameron Elsie. They've seen him, they've had him signed before. So I think he goes out, and if he mixes stuff up, and I think what the guys at Showroom made better than most of the other gyms about is they blend everything together pretty well. So it is like an MMA style. You can see it with Jack and Brett, and even Rory Evans last week, and you can hear Shaky talking about it, like with the fight with Taku at Cage Warriors. Like, so if he goes out and plays that game, I think Reese is probably in a good position to get the win, but he needs to be aware that Cameron Elsie is a dangerous dude as well.
Yeah. No, he definitely is. I mean, as I said, Cameron Elsie, jiu-jitsu coach was Valmir Neto, as I said. So, and I know Valmir's been in his corner a couple of times. I think they were over at Fight Island and stuff like that together. So,
they're both black belts. I think Reese and Elsie are both black belts. So it'll be interesting to see some grappling. But I know for guys that have trained with Cameron Elsie, he's supposed to be a very good front headlock guy. And then obviously he's training with Patchy Mix, who's front headlock, guillotine, and back take stuff's probably the best in MMA, other than maybe Aljamain Sterling. But it's a good fight, man. Hopefully Reese keeps his discipline, rises to the occasion. Again, he's a ticket seller, so he's going to have a lot of people there to see him. And if he performs to the best of his abilities, he should get a win there. But it's all about that 15 minutes now, isn't it? It's like everyone's done other than make the weight and turn up and execute. But if he's made the adaptations for the Gittins fight, and I'd imagine he would, because the last time I think he lost, you could see he was a different fighter. He can come out. I think he can win on points if he's smart. If he pushes for a submission, he can maybe get a submission. Either very, very quick or very late. I think once it settles in, you get to kind of see the two skill sets kind of clashing. You need to be aware of Cameron Elsie jump. I think he might start fast. He's got previous for that as well. So he's a good kid, Reese, man. I think he's one of the reasons Cage Warriors is back up here, with the amount of tickets he was shifting for the away shows and stuff. So it'll be a big night for him to get a win there.
And Sean, I mean, you coming up through the amateurs, I mean, Reese was about, obviously, I think he started his pro career at that point, so you would have seen him on shows that you were on. I think you were on a couple of shows together. Oh, I don't know. Sean's...
What's that?
I'm saying Reese would have been one guy that you would have seen when you were coming up through the amateur ranks, because as I say, he turned pro around about that time when you were coming through. So and I think you were on a couple of shows together, I believe.
Sorry, I was talking there. I must have just muted myself by accident. We were in Evolution of Combat together.
I think a couple of times maybe. Even back then, I remember hearing that he'd sold a fair amount of tickets and stuff like that, even for Evolution of Combat and stuff. So we've came up in the ranks at a similar kind of pace. I'd say he started a wee bit earlier.
Yeah. But there, Miles Painter got round 3 rear naked choke. So yeah, round 3 rear naked choke. So we'll definitely see. As I said, I think it's going to end up being a grappling match. Yeah, every fight, as we know, starts standing. But yeah, I think it's going to end up going to the ground, and there's going to be a lot of
I think it
grappling.
would be a good idea for Reese to try and get him down via the clinch. He's been quite guilty in the past of just shooting for too far away and not mixing it up too well. So
Yeah,
like see when you're in a fight, you can be guilty of just reverting back to kind of what you know. So probably be a good idea for him to try and end up in clinch scenarios so that you can try and get him down that way.
Yeah,
he's a big bantamweight as well. He's a big lumpy boy. Like he's thick in that, isn't he? I've heard of a couple of people who walks about quite heavy and stuff. So probably be able to muscle him about in those positions.
And then main event is the Chris Bungard up against, and again my pronunciation is horrible, Dumitru Gillian. So yeah.
I don't even know what that name is, and I could tell you fuck that heavy.
So, but yeah, I'll find out what the fucking pronunciation is on the night. But Chris Bungard coming out again. Chris is one of these guys where, do you know what I mean, his name's on a card. He's going to sell tickets. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of people. I mean, Newcastle went absolutely fucking wild when he won, jumped into the crowd and all that kind of stuff. So, so he's always a showman, Sean.
Yeah. Chris Bungard's a cool guy. I've spent a fair amount of time with him and stuff like that, even just being away for Paul's fights and stuff. He's a really cool guy. I hope he gets this done. It would cap off the night really well as well. Do you know what I mean? This guy's fighting's really good as well, to be fair. So I think that'll be a good fight. Chris is one of those guys. He's got that dog in him though, so I reckon. I'm rooting for Chris anyway, just for how the night ends sake.
Yeah. Have him jumping into the crowd again, which
that would be
seems to be
in Braehead Arena. That would be pretty fun.
James Bungard. I said it was he was up with Perry the last time, right? But Perry was going to be a tough match for him. And then I said once they ended up on the ground, they made it look easy. And we know how good Perry is. So
you called that one as well. James called that.
I think Perry was a good match for him. To be fair, I think the difference with Perry and this guy is this: Perry's was on his last kind of run. Do you know what I mean? He was done. Long time in the sport, featherweight before, a lot of hard fights, Morgan Sherrier fight and stuff like that. He's a great fighter, but he's not what he once was, and Chris showed that with him. I think he dropped him almost like with a jab and jumped all over him. And I think Chris still has to go and do that. Do you know what I mean? He's still got to go and execute, and he done it. And I think he's on a 3-fight winning run now at Cage Warriors, which is not fucking easy, especially at lightweight. When you've got the record that Chris has got, because they can't really give him young guys. I think the Italian guy, maybe 8-0 or something, is one of these new breed of Italian guys that are coming up. They're very good. I think he showed that when he beat Adam Cullen, and I think he was brought here thinking Adam Cullen's going to put it on this guy, and he shocked the place that night. There's a feel of this fight, I think, if you go back to when Chris fought Terry Brazier, where it's almost like the people in the know are expecting the Italian guy to maybe be a wee bit too much for Chris. And if you remember back to that fight, it was the same thing. The fought Brazier was moving on to bigger and better things, and Chris fucking destroyed, like pretty much retired him, I think. So, like Sean said, the one thing Chris Bungard did his fight, he's a tough lad. I think he feeds on the crowd more than just about any fighter that's on this card. Like I said before, Sean's been programmed not to bother with the crowd and any of the external stuff. And Sean is going to get in there and do his job, and you can see it when the job's done. That's when you can see that releasing him. Whereas Chris is right in the moment, present.
He loves it.
He loves every bit, yeah. And I think the harder the fight is for him, the better it will be. The worst case scenario would be what happened with the first Gavin Hughes fight, where he gets caught early. I think the longer the fight goes, the more it suits Chris. I think the Italian guy will be there right to the end. He's like he looks like he hits pretty hard and stuff like that. So Chris will need to watch what he's doing with that. But it just seems like it should be set up for like what Sean's saying for this night of fights, and then Chris just is. It'll be a fight, and Chris will probably get hurt at points and stuff like he does, but he'll fucking grit it out and maybe get the win and then jump in the bloody crowd like Sean's saying. But I think it's a slight edge towards the Italian guy, but I think the occasion and just the fact that Chris seems to thrive on that shit. You can't really bet against Chris in these situations, you know what I mean? It'd be different if it was in Italy and stuff like that, but I think he'll be hard to put away. So as long as he sees everything coming, because Adam Cullen never seen that shot, and as long as he's fit, because you can't see stuff and react to it as well if you're fit. And I've never seen Bungard no being fit, even in short notice fights and that. So you can imagine he has control of his fitness. He's got that. He's probably had a decent camp with Blair and Strong, same weight. Same show, so pretty easy for him. I'm going to go Chris on a points win. I think if the Italian guy leaves his neck out for a second, Chris will gladly take it. But if Chris leaves his fucking chin out for a minute, the Italian guy might find it as well. But I think it'll be hard to stop with that crowd, man. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Miles Painter just saying Bungard round 2 standing guillotine choke. So
I don't think you could get a more specific submission than that.
What arm? Left arm?
What arm, Miles? Yeah, what arm? So, but standing guillotine choke. But as I say, Miles knows his stuff. So it's going to be a great night of fights. As I said, apart from your own guys, James, who are you looking forward to seeing?
It was Damon Donald. Obviously, Paul and Aiden, I think.
Yeah.
The Scott and LeBlanc fight again could potentially be fighting the night. If Scott turns up like he's capable of. I'm looking forward to the whole card. To be honest, it's good to just have that level of MMA back in Scotland.
Yeah. What about yourself, Sean? I know that you're going to be you're like third fight from the end, so you're not going to get to see many of the fights.
Need to see. Probably Bungard at the end, mate. To be honest, that's probably the one. That's like the one that like the whole kind of vibe of the night's going on, isn't it? So that one probably, to be honest, and that's probably going to be one of the only ones that I can actually watch as well. So aye, probably that one.
Yeah. Let me ask. Last night, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, the knockout. Do you know what I mean? James, you as a coach, James. I mean, what you telling your guy with 10 seconds left? Do you know what I mean? Like,
that should fucking kill me, man.
That's probably the best time to do it, to be honest, because Gaethje looked absolutely fucked. I picked Holloway in that fight. I think a lot of guys were picking Gaethje and stuff like that, but I'm not a fan of Gaethje over 5 rounds. I think he's really good at 3. Holloway was still mega impressive, but probably one of my favourite fighters. It's maybe why one of my kids is called Max. It was entertaining, man. Viral. Everybody's talking about him. He's done his job.
600 grand richer as well.
Yeah.
What do you get? You got fight of the night and knockout of the night. So
that's my favourite moment in MMA of all time. That one there is like you couldn't get a better win than that. Like win every single round, and then just spark the boy last second.
The last time he done it with Lamas, the two of them missed each other for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Started swinging and couldn't land it.
But it was awesome end to the fight. I mean, as you said, he was dominant the whole fight, and then to just absolutely 1 second left. Do you know what I mean? And just dropped him, and he dropped in. Gaethje wasn't moving. Do you know what I mean? He was out cold.
Fucked up.
It was a shot. It was a great shot.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well on him, 600 grand richer. As well as his fight pass, he probably made over $1 million easy. Do you know what I mean? So fair play to him. But yeah, Cage Warriors next week then. So James, anybody you want to shout out to?
Nah, I'm all right, mate. Thanks for having us on. I hope you guys enjoy the show on Saturday.
No. What about you, Sean? Anybody you want to? Sean, I know your sponsor list. I mean, your sponsor list. You always need to put it on. You always need to put it on socials because.
Aye, I'll put it on socials because they've been growing a lot more recently. But see, to be honest, as far as like I've had a lot going on in my life recently. A lot of big things like been happening in my life, and they've literally been fucking saving grace. They're the reason that I can like completely give everything to this fighting. They're partially because of that. They're partially the reason I am as good as I am. So yeah. I'm completely indebted to these guys. So yeah, I'll put them up in the bio and stuff.
Yeah, it's important as well. I mean, I've talked about this in every interview that I've done with every fighter I've spoke to recently, and saying that it's important for the fighters to have sponsors. Do you know what I mean? Because without sponsors, I mean, you're having to pay for medicals, you're having to pay travel costs, accommodation in a lot of cases.
Just living, especially like in fucking today's society, is so expensive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like you need to, and see especially if you want to be able to, like there's Russian like fucking 10-year-olds, like rich Russian 10-year-olds over in like wherever, like the blah 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 Istan. I can get everything paid for them by the government and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So if you want to keep up with the boys, then you need to be able to give absolutely everything you've got to the sport. So, it's a must in today's society, sadly. But yeah, they've been fantastic.
Nah, listen, you've got a huge amount of support. Do you know what I mean? Just like everybody at high level, not just high level, but around the country. I'd say there's so much support for next weekend's card. So Saturday, the 20th of April. If you haven't got a ticket already, chances are you're probably not going to get one. So you'll be able to see it on UFC Fight Pass.
There's a couple left. Jump onto my bio if you want any.
Yeah, there's a couple. I think is it the big price tickets left?
There's not a couple that are like in the lower end. There's still a decent variety, I think, but there's no too many left. You're definitely right in that regard.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can't make it on the night, UFC Fight Pass, it will be on UFC Fight Pass. So make sure you are watching. So James, Sean Clancy Jr., higher level, going to turn up and represent next weekend, as always. But listen, absolute pleasure to have both of you on with me tonight.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having us, bro.
All right. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys next Saturday.
Yeah,
see you.
Right. Take it easy. Bye.
All right.